Hey guys, welcome back to my channel where I talk about hot topics in the real estate industry. So make sure you help me out and like and subscribe to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about a topic that is actually quite controversial for sale by owner. Now you're probably wondering, why would a real estate agent be giving me advice on how to sell my home without an agent? The truth of the matter is that yes, you can totally do it yourself. Yes, you can save money on commissions. And yes, you should seriously consider all of your options and be prepared for what's ahead with or without an agent. That's why I'm making this video. This information will either help you along or steer you in making a more informed decision. So I'll be going over some things you really want to achieve when you list your home for sale by owner, and I'll be going over some mistakes that you really want to avoid when you list your home for sale by owner, and some tips and tricks sprinkled in along the way, of course. So let's get into the video. Now, we all know that nearly all home searches begin online. That's a fact. But at the end of the day, most all home transactions end up buying and selling with a real estate agent. So first, I ask the biggest question of all, which is why? Why are you choosing to go against the grain and go into this without a professional on your side? First, I know it's none of my business, but let's get past that. You have your reasons. Maybe you had a terrible experience with a real estate agent before. Maybe you're a do-it-yourselfer and you still change your own oil, so you're going to DIY this one too. Okay, great. So you may be handy and you might be a pretty intelligent person. But the real question is, are you a great marketer and negotiator? That's the secret sauce. If you're going to be successful with your for sale by owner strategy, that is what you ultimately need to have going for you to save the money that you will ultimately save on having no commissions. But regardless of your reasons, you're about to embark on a challenging yet hopefully rewarding journey. So let's help you get there. The first thing you want to do is obviously clean and declutter. I see way too many for sale by owner listings that don't do this very basic step and just throw it up online and hope for the best. Well, hope is not a good business plan. So let's make sure you're doing the fundamentals. Go ahead and do a deep clean, and don't forget about the little things like cleaning the windowsills and wiping the baseboards. It's also a good idea to put up your personal belongings like bathroom supplies and items like that. Just get those items somewhere out of sight. You can also reposition or eliminate non-essential furniture, as this will make the house look cleaner, but also make the home look bigger from a square foot perspective. Now let's go outside. There's likely some cleanup that could happen with a little bit of landscaping. Now, as you're doing all these little projects, you're going to notice some small things that need touched up or even major deferred maintenance along the way. It's a good idea to go ahead and take care of these minor issues now, because they'll inevitably pop up on the inspection report anyway. And really reconsider any major home renovations or major home updates. Not only will it cost you a lot of money, but you might not get the value back out of the sale of the home. It's more likely that you end up coming in somewhere around break even with these projects. And you're also robbing your end buyer of choosing their own materials and design concepts. I always like to get it at least clean and presentable, but also allow the buyer to use their imagination for how they would like to make it their own. Another great idea to do before you list your home for sale by owner is make sure your price is accurate as possible. When a realtor prices a home, it's based on years of experience, market trends, seasonal timing, and most importantly, comparable sales. These tools that are in our tool belt that a for sale by owner doesn't really have that much access to, so you'll need to get some help. Now, you can do the research online yourself, but the problem with this is that it's often from a perspective with your biased opinion. I'd much rather you reach out to a few top producing realtors in the area and request a CMA, which stands for Comparable Market Analysis. These are at no cost to you and at no obligation to ultimately list your home with that agent. But in the case where you eventually might be looking to change course, you can reach back out and interview these agents and ultimately choose the one that's best for you. Now, I do have a dedicated video on my channel that gives you advice on how to choose the best agent, so I recommend checking that out too. But moving on, the other thing about pricing is the actual number you choose. Let's say you choose $299,000, which is actually pretty common to see. The problem with this is that most home searches are tiered by $50,000 increments. So yes, you'll capture the search criteria set from $250,000 to $300,000, but you're missing out on all the buyers with the criteria set from $300,000 to $350,000 by only $1,000. So go ahead and round up that number to $300,000. That way your home is showing to both buyer pools, not just the one. One more comment about pricing is that it should be dependent on your timeline. Now, if you're in a hurry, an aggressive price will obviously help. But if you're not in a hurry, you can list at the top of the market and even hold firm on price until the right offer presents itself. So basically establish a range of pricing, narrow down from low end to top end, and then determine which end of the spectrum you should be on based on your timeline. Now, the next mistake I see, which is probably the most common and the biggest mistake in my opinion, is with marketing. And let's start with the photos. Now, most listings I see are with your smartphone. And that does a great job, and I actually see too many real estate agents making the same mistake too, which is really unfortunate because hiring a professional photographer is money extremely well spent. Not only does this put the best light on your home, but it's what makes the first impressions to your prospective buyers. Not only would I hire professional photography for the interior, but depending on the property, you could benefit from adding some drone shots as well. And this isn't as expensive as you would think. Usually it's only a few $100 depending on the size of the home, how many pictures you're needing, and when you list your home with an agent, the cost of that marketing is on the agent. So what I do is actually go one step further and have the photos advanced edited, like making the sky bluer or the grass greener, getting rid of shadows, adding fire to the fireplace and stuff like that. You can get done for less than $20 and have it back to you within 24 hours. So my point is that is a great low-cost investment to get high-quality photographs to showcase your home at its very best. Sometimes video can also help, but only under the right circumstances. Basically, if you can tell a different story than what your pictures show, then absolutely do this. But please, save everyone some pain and suffering and don't do a slideshow of pictures with some cheesy music. That's just weird and a waste of time in my opinion. And more on marketing is you want to get the word out to people that's just not searching online. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors. You'd be surprised at the percentage of homes that are sold to someone in their immediate network or a connection of someone in your network. And as far as open houses go, I'll be really quick. I wouldn't recommend them because there will be too many unqualified people in your home. It can not only be a safety concern, but a huge time suck and a very stressful day. Now, if you do decide to host an open house, don't do it alone. Have a person in the main common area and another person walking around checking up on things. And be sure to secure certain things like guns and prescribed medicines for obvious reasons. Make sure you ask everyone to sign in, get good data capture so you can follow up later and hopefully get some good feedback. And here's a helpful tip. Get a secondary phone number. These days you can subscribe to a second cell phone number for $15, $20 a month, and it comes with a user-friendly app. You can still call, text, receive voicemails, etc. So I highly recommend doing this. Not only does it help your personal security, but it allows you to track inbound leads separately on the app versus your phone. So really, I can't recommend doing this enough. So obviously, there are some cons that come up with a for sale by owner that are not always considered. So let's go over some of these. Remember, you're a for sale by owner and you've got a huge target on your back from bargain hunters or tire kickers, and you have to be very careful. Now, most people are pretty passive and don't actually want to negotiate directly with the owner themselves, so that's why they hire an agent to do that work for them. Do you really think sweet old Sally wants to come into a stranger's home all alone? Of course not, which is why most for sale by owners end up paying the buyer's agent about a 3% commission for bringing the end buyer to them. So now you're only saving a net 3% on commission. On the selling side, one of the biggest reasons for sale by owner fails is their own schedule and not being able to show the home when the buyer wants to see it. So your availability for calls and showing appointments needs to be wide open and flexible. You also need to field phone calls of buyers interested and wanting to ask a bunch of questions about the home, the neighborhood, what restrictions it has, and all that. This can get extremely tedious and wear you down because most people are interested enough to call you and take 20 minutes of your time, but ultimately not the house for them. Here's where an agent thrives though, because those phone calls, to them, they're buyer leads. They're buyer leads for other properties for sale, and they can now work with them in the future. So there's that ancillary benefit there versus the calls that you're fielding have no other upside at the end of that conversation. And another downside is how you're going to negotiate. So let's say someone offers you $275,000 for your $300,000 home, and you counter back at $290,000, and they come up to $285,000, and you agree on further terms from there. Cool. But what if you counter back at that same offer at $195,000, and they come up to $185,000, and then you come down to $190,000 and agree on terms from there? Now you just made an extra $5,000. So if you negotiate poorly, then it can end up costing you just as much money or more than had you hired a listing agent in the first place, let alone the time that you took to do it. And then just remember to be aware of buyers' financing. Are they pre-approved or even qualified at all? This is also where an agent can help you too, because they're actively vetting their clients before showing them homes. So if you do end up coming to a purchase agreement and are now under contract and then unsure about what to do from there, I highly recommend hiring a real estate attorney or a real estate agent to handle that contract for you for a flat fee. It's money well spent when you consider the downside risk of legal expenses if the paperwork is done incorrectly or with mistakes. So at the end of the day, after you list your for sale by owner, it's very common that you find out the hard way that the process is more difficult than what you thought. Even if you take the advice in this video and have a good strategy, executing that strategy is often the hardest part. Personally, I'm a huge fan of leveraging systems. I own rental properties and I don't field the calls from my tenants. I leverage property management. I don't fix runny toilets or mow a bunch of lawns. I leverage contractors to do the work needed done. I leverage bookkeeping. I leverage taxes. I leverage accounting. But I leverage smart by having the best people represent me. It's how I've been able to grow my business and give you valued content like this and ultimately focus on my business and helping my clients achieve success. In selling a home, it's no different. Sure, when you do the math, the commission can seem unreasonable on the surface, but understand you're leveraging a proven and professional system to sell your home faster and for more money than what you can probably get on your own. That's the whole idea. With for sale by owner, you're recreating a wheel, and it's not really that much fun. You're missing out on the best practices and some proven trends. So at the end of the day, the more people that see your home, the better chance you have at obtaining a buyer. The more agents that can recommend your home to their stack of qualified applicants, the better chance of obtaining a buyer. And the biggest tool of all is agents have access to list on the MLS, which is where the majority of home buyers are living at. Basically, agents, they have their clients set up to receive listing notifications that meet their criteria. So if those buyers aren't searching for sale by owners themselves, they're not seeing your home. And you're losing out on tons of buyers willing and able to pay top dollar. So yes, in my opinion, it's totally worth it to hire a listing agent. But at the same time, I understand if you don't. I just hope you take some advice from this video to help you along during the process. And if you ever actually think about changing course, I hope you contact me to help you out. And if you're watching this video and are outside of the Branson, Missouri market, that's okay. You can still reach out to me as a trusted source to refer you to the best listing agents in your area. So I hope you found this video helpful in your consideration to start or even reconsider your for sale by owner decisions. If you'd like to help me, just like and subscribe and check me out on the social media platforms. I'm Gary Nelson, and until next time, thanks for watching.